Now, if you're using a Sharpie, make sure to have 2 sheets of paper so it doesn't go through to the table. You could also use a black crayon, or you could use a black pen. So to help us with proportion, which is when we have sizes and we're relating one size to another size, it's helpful to have some guidelines. So this is just a practice, and you can do this again at home. But we're going to take that sheet of paper, again, if you have to for the Sharpie, and we're going to fold it over long ways once. Okay, and then we're going to fold it again. It doesn't have to be super hard creases. And then we're going to fold it one last time, like so. Okay, then we're going to open it up. So now I've just created 8 quadrants. So it kind of helps my brain break up the image that we're going to be drawing. So let me get our image over here. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because sometimes even just knowing what it is hard for us to see it. So I'll reveal it at the end. Okay. So underneath here we have our image, and I folded the paper the same way as this. So all I'm going to be doing is working on these first 2 rectangles, and then we're going to work our way down. So here we go. I see some curved lines and straight lines, and then some other curved lines and some small little U's right here. So we're going to do that. So I'm using these squares, these rectangles, as our guide. So these lines are close to the bottom but not quite touching. And I see that this straight line right here is just over from the crease. So here's my crease, and I'm going to draw my curved line and then another curved line like so. And then remember, we can use our fingers as like a ruler. So I take this and I could measure. It's more than 2 fingers, so for me it's like 3 fingers. So I'm going to just lay down 3 fingers, and I'm going to know that's about where this line's going to end. So I'm going to draw it to this point here, and then it curves up to the side. And then we can check it. Yep, that one's about the same thing. And you could even check it, okay, it's at about 3 fingers wide. But again, it could be it's going to be different for your hands. And then angle that up. Okay. Then I've got this middle line here, and that ends about the same place. Maybe a little bit higher up. So I'm going to draw that there, and then it's got this curved line here. And at any point, if you need to pause the video so that you can get this drawn, then please do so. Okay, I see a few more things. I've got my U's right here. So I've got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, then I have this line that comes up here, and I've got this little triangle down here, so another little angled line. Okay, great. So now let's reveal the next 2 squares, or rectangles technically. Okay, all right. I'm gonna use my fingers again as measurement. All right, so I'm gonna continue this curved line up for about 3 fingers. Okay, to about right here, and I'm gonna curve it up. And on this side though, it actually is going past into this next quadrant. So I'm gonna curve it all the way up to there. But I see this little rectangle box here. So maybe I'll go ahead and draw that in. So maybe about 1 finger, and that line's gonna go there, and then I've got this rectangle right there. So now I have a point to draw this line back down to here. Okay, so now let's work on these shapes. I see a tall rectangle and then I see a flat rectangle. So let's draw those in. And I'm going to now connect that there. Then I've got this flat rectangle. And I'm not drawing the bottom of it because I don't know what's coming up. Okay, and now we've got these shapes here in the middle. All right, so we have these angled lines. So you can use these points here. We've got this area to fit it in. So we're going to do angle, kind of cuts across and goes back. So there's the one angled line. This one, it goes behind it. So we'll come down here and that kind of curves back. And this one kind of curves as well. And then we've got those three U's again. Okay, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've got everything drawn for that quadrant. So now I'm going to move on to the next. Maybe you're starting to recognize this image. Okay, so let's continue. And you know what, we've already drawn this part, so we can just cover that up if that gets to be distracting for you. This one's got a lot more lines and details in it. In fact, let's just go ahead. That's the top of our image right there at the top of this quadrant here. So I'm just going to move this paper here. Okay, so remember how we've got this rectangle that we drew right here? We can see. Let's see about how far that is. Okay, it's almost 3 of my fingers from this crease right here. Yep, so I'm going to go about 3 fingers up and kind of curve over, and I'm going to stop right there. Then we're going to go on to our next shape. I think I'm going to start with this rectangle that we drew here, and we see where we've got the top of this curved line and it comes below that. So maybe like 1 finger below that. So I'm going to come up and it will curve over, and then that will curve over. Okay. Now I've got this open circle right here. It touches this, goes to this line, and then it curves all the way back around, and there back to this area. So we're going to touch this trunk, the rectangle. We're trying not to look at what the image is. It's hard though when you know. Okay, and we're going to touch this. We're going to curve around back down to here and then connect those lines. Okay, now let's tackle this part. I can see that this line and this curved line are about the same. This one might be a little bit higher, but it's not going to make that big of a difference. So I'm going to go a little bit further down, and then I'm going to curve and connect to this line. Okay, so now we've got some shapes inside here. We've got 2 nice circles with 2 dots, and those are basically right in the middle. So let's go ahead and do those. They kind of sit over this area, but as you can see on this first one that I drew, this one kind of came over further, but when I drew it again, it didn't. So it's okay. It's going to be different each time you do it, but I'm still going to keep these kind of like in the center of my paper here. So 1, and I'm leaving some space, and 2, and so here are my circles, and then it's got some dots in the middle of it, and it's got a little loop right there, and then we've got these straight lines. They're kind of going at an angle, so we're going to go 1 and 2, and then I've got these little curved lines as well, not directly under these circles, but a little bit to the side. So 1, 2, and then I've got this kind of like this half circle, or half dot actually, since it's colored in, and it's below these circles and below this curved like rectangle that we drew. but not down into this next quadrant. So, flat line, then we're going to do this nice arch over it, and then color it in. Okay, so now our image is finished. Let's turn it around and see if you might recognize who this is. It's Gerald from Piggy and Gerald. There are a lot of great children's books, or just books in general, that really have simple images to draw. And so this was the one that we did. And sometimes just turning things upside down can really make things a lot simpler for our brains to see. So if you want to practice this at home, you could just take a book that you have and find an image that you like and turn it upside down. You could ask a parent to make a copy of it. I made a copy of this on the computer, and then I was able to take it and fold it and get those lines to keep the proportions correct. So I actually took a picture of it, zoomed it in so it would be larger, and then printed it out. And then after you've drawn it, you could go back and you could try drawing it again. You could draw it again upside down. You could draw it right side up. Now that your brain knows that you can do it, sometimes we just think, there's no way I could draw that. But having a different perspective and maybe simplifying things can really exercise the other side of your brain to be like, you know what? I could draw a straight line. I can draw a curved line. And before you know it, you've got Gerald. And sometimes life is like that, that we can only see things in one way, and maybe someone else sees it from a different perspective and it's like, you know what? I think you can do that. So don't say that you can't, especially in drawing. Like, it's maybe you just need a different perspective. So now that you have Mr. Gerald drawn, you could take some crayons, some colored pencils, and you could color them in. Now, the way that the author and artist in this book depicts them is in gray, but you can draw. You drew your elephant, so you could color him in whatever color you'd like. So maybe he's feeling really spunky and he's gonna be purple. This actually has purple sparkles in it. So you do not have to use gray. Work in short little strokes. Don't do big strokes because you lose some control over it, and you could go outside the lines, and it just ends up looking better when you do some small strokes on there. So this is week 3, upside down drawing using Mo Williams' book with Piggy and Gerald. So, and don't forget to sign your work so you'll know that you did it. You can also put the date on there so you can remember when you did it. And also look at other kids' books. Another great one to look at is Madeline, and a few things you can look in there for. I love she's got a lot of great symmetry in the books where things are going to be the same on both sides. Maybe not exactly. This girl's got one bow, this one has 2, but there are several images that have some good symmetry. But look at this. Turn it upside down, and do you think that you could draw these curved lines and these straight lines and just draw one of the girls, of the little girls that were in 2 straight lines? I bet you could. It's really not as hard as it seems. So trick your brain, turn it upside down, and try out the oils that you've been working on.